Jillian Tate.
Yes.
And James Sandino.
Yes, or Jim.
Jim Sandino.
Yes.
All right. So hi, this is Russ Ward, and I'm with Jillian Tate and Jim Sandino, and we're at the FDA hearings today. So Jim and Jillian, can you give me your impression of the meeting so far?
Well, I'm going to let Jillian go first because she runs emerging video and is also the director of social media for Integrated Media Solutions, and my colleague. So, Jillian.
Thank you, Jim. What I've been noticing here is that the same themes are emerging over and over again. And the biggest one, obviously, is the transparency, but also the pharma companies and marketers are picking up on the need for their involvement with the consumers, which is where that transparency comes into play. We're also hearing repeated requests for clarification on the one-click rule, especially as it pertains to shortened forms of social media. And the other one that we're hearing a lot of is responsibility and truthfulness and making sure that accurate information is out there. And that's really where a lot of social responsibility is coming into play as well.
And from my perspective, what everyone is doing is focusing on just the social media piece, forgetting the fact that social media is right now at the tail end of the continuing or the communication continuum, which starts with upfront mass market TV, which in my opinion is done more like packaged goods than it should be.
Very good. And do you think that there's fair representation across the industry segments, including the general public here at the meeting?
I think there's a fair representation. I think that there aren't enough of the pharma clients who are the ones who are actually charged with and responsible for advertising and marketing their products. And that's what consumers are looking for. They're looking for a solution to a problem. That means a product, and yet I don't think there are enough of them here.
I would actually say that this has been very, very focused on D2C, and as you mentioned, the general public, the only real representation I've seen for the general non-professional, non-marketing public actually was when WeGo Health brought in that survey that they did with their health advocates, and even that's not necessarily the general public. Jim mentioned, he refers to them as the A students. They're the real participants.
Very good. Is there any particular single takeaway that you'd like to leave with us today?
The good thing is that the FDA, DDMAC in particular, are doing their best to try and get their arms around this, and they're looking for, from my perspective, they're looking for common sense solutions to the regulations. After all, they have to regulate a law. That is their charge, and it is a law that's written in the books. Until that's changed, they have to figure out what's the best way to monitor and regulate that legislature.
I think it's that the ostrich philosophy absolutely has to end. We can't have pharma companies sticking their heads in the sand and pretending that the internet doesn't exist out of sheer fear of doing something wrong from the FDA. I've heard the phrase "nature abhors a vacuum" used twice in two separate presentations today because a failure to participate by the pharma companies sets it up for the less legitimate and less truthful voices to come in and take over.
Jim and Jillian, thank you very much for your input this afternoon. This is Russ Ward for Pixels and Pills.